In this video, we are going to understand the human digestive system. You should know that the human digestive system actually have two components. The first is alimentary canal, that is the pathways through which the food passes into our body. That includes mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, rectum, and anus. And then there are glands associated with this. These are called digestive glands, and that is salivary glands in the mouth, liver, and pancreas are the other two glands. Now, you should know that the food first entered into our mouth, right? And the cavity within which the food is taken is called the buccal cavity. So intake of the whole food is taken into the mouth, and the role of teeth, as you know, that teeth help in chewing and grinding the food and masticating the food into smaller pieces. Now there is, the role of tongue also. The tongue helps in rolling the food. Besides that, it also helps in tasting the food and swallowing the food, pushing the food down the mouth. Now, as I said, inside the mouth, when the food is masticated, the tongue actually also helps in mixing the food with saliva, a digestive gland. So as I told you, there is a digestive gland called salivary gland that releases a digestive juice called salivary juice. So this saliva, which is secreted by the salivary glands, it helps in converting starch. Helps in converting starch into. It helps in converting starch into sugar. So we can say that the digestion of food starts in the mouth itself. The process of digestion starts in the mouth itself, where the starch gets converted into sugar. Now, once the food is uh, converted into starch into sugar, the rest of the food continue to go down through this path, and this path from here to here, right? This portion of the alimentary canal is called esophagus. Now, you should know that no digestion takes place in the esophagus. Only the food is transferred from the mouth to the stomach. But you should know that taking the food from the mouth to the stomach requires movement called the peristaltic movement. So peristaltic movement, what does it mean actually? It is the rhythmic contraction and relaxations of the muscles of the alimentary canal. Let's say, for example, if I say this is a food pipe, and let's say these are the foods present, then there is a contraction and relaxation of muscles. Say these muscles above will contract and these will relax. That will help in pushing the food in the downward direction. So this rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the not only esophagus, it takes place throughout the alimentary canal. We say it is peristaltic movement, also called peristalsis. Now, it's a very common experience that if you chew the food for a longer time, like say if you take some chapati and if you chew it for 10 to 15 minutes, not 10 to 15 minutes, say 5 to 10 minutes, you'll realize that the chapati starts to taste sweet. Now, let's say, why does it happen that chapati started tasting sweet? As I told you that the saliva present in the mouth actually converts the starch into sugar. And that is the reason why it tastes sweet, because of the presence of sugar. Now, from the esophagus, the food enters into the stomach. As you know, this is the region of the stomach. And this is muscular in structure, nature, I mean to say that. And it helps in this muscles actually keeps on moving, and that helps in mixing the food with the juice released by the stomach. So you should know that the the walls of the stomach have gastric glands present in them, and that secretes a juice called gastric juice. Now, this gastric juice comprises of three things. So this gastric juice, as I said, so this gastric juice, which is released by the inner walls of the stomach. They comprises of three things. One is pepsin, second is hydrochloric acid, and third is mucus. Let's first understand the role of hydrochloric acid. The hydrochloric acid, as you know, it's acidic in nature. So it is released by the inner wall of the stomach, mainly to make the food acidic, because the pepsin, which is a protein digesting enzyme. So we should know that pepsin is an enzyme that breaks down the protein. So it's a protein digesting enzymes, and this enzymes can work only when the food is acidic in medium. So pepsin helps in breaking down the food, that is breaking down the protein, and it requires an acidic medium. And here comes the role of hydrochloric acid. So the hydrochloric acid makes the medium acidic. Now it has one secondary role also, that this hydrochloric acid kills the germs that may enter along with the food. Besides, hydrochloric acids making the food the medium acidic for the pepsin to work, it also kills the germs that may enter along with the food. Now let's understand what should be the role of mucus. As you know that hydrochloric acid is corrosive in nature. It can cause burn. In fact, if it is has a higher concentration, it can cause severe burn. We handle it very carefully. Then how come it is present in our stomach? It can burn our stomach as well. This so this stomach is the inner wall of the stomach is actually protected by the layer of mucus. So you should know that this layer of mucus, this is the layer of mucus which is present, the layer of mucus which is present in the inner lining of the stomach. Right, this layer of mucus actually prevents the stomach from the corrosive nature of hydrochloric acid. Now, from the stomach, the stomach empties its components or the content into this small intestine. The small intestine, you should know, it's a highly coiled, as you can see, it's a highly coiled structure, tube-like structure, and it is approximately 7.5 meters in length. But as you know that it is highly coiled, that's why it does not occupy that much space. Now, this small intestine, it receives secretions from the gland. This is, as you can see, this is liver. The liver secretes its glands into the small intestine. The small intestine also receives secretions from a cream colored, you can see the cream colored gland. This is pancreas. This is pancreas. So pancreas also secretes. So we can say that the small intestine receives secretion from the liver and the pancreas. The liver secretes bile, and pancreas secretes bile juice. So apart from this, the walls of the small intestine also secretes some juices. Now, digestion in small intestine, if you talk, the digestion of food takes place in this duodenum, right? That is the duodenum, which is the first part of the small intestine. The small intestine, as I said, it receives bile juice from the liver and pancreatic juice from pancreas. Now, a very important thing to remember, that bile juice, which is secreted by this liver, does not contain any digestive enzyme. Now, here comes the confusion, that if this liver does not secretes any digestive enzymes, then why we consider this to be a vital organ for the digestion? So you should know that it has bile juice, which is very essential for the breakdown of fat. So the fat actually present, complex fat molecules, which is present in our body, right? This is, by that I mean to say, this fat molecules which is present, these are large fat globules, and the pancreatic juice cannot digest it. So it is necessary that these fat molecules be broken down into smaller fat globules, right? And in order to do so, like these fat molecules, as you can see that they are very large, it has to be broken down into smaller globules, fat globules, or smaller droplets. And that's the role of the bile juice. So you should remember that bile juice does not, liver secretes bile juice, and bile juice does not contain any digestive enzymes. This does not contain any digestive enzyme. its only role is to uh, emulsifies the large fat globules. Role is to emulsifies the large fat globules into smaller fat droplets so that the pancreatic enzymes could act efficiently. Now, next comes the role of the enzymes secreted by this pancreas. Now, pancreas release trypsin, amylase, and lipase. So let's understand the role of each of these. Before that, you should also know that this liver is the largest gland in our body. And pancreas, besides being releasing digestive enzymes, also releases hormones for the breakdown of controlling the level of sugar in the blood. Now, we'll come back to the role of the pancreas. So now pancreas, as I said, pancreas releases pancreatic juice, and that comprises of trypsin and lipase. So trypsin is a protein digesting enzyme, and therefore it breaks down proteins into peptones, while lipase is a fat digesting enzyme. It breaks down fat into lipids and fatty acids. But as I said that lipase cannot work on large fat globules, and here comes the role of liver. Liver, as I said, secretes bile juice, and this bile juice helps in converting large fat globules into small fat molecules which can easily be absorbed. That's called emulsification of fat. Now, once the fat is digested, protein is also broken down. The inner line of this small intestine, they have a finger-like projections. The inner lining of the stomach has finger-like projection. This actually helps in increasing the surface area, the villi. Villi is the finger-like projection. It helps in increasing the surface area for the greater absorption of the food. Right, because when the surface area is increased, the absorption of the food is also increases. Also, you should know that the inner lining of the stomach has a dense network of blood capillaries that helps in absorption of food and by the blood, and it is taken to the other parts of the body. So the final digestion of the food takes place in the small intestine. So we should know that carbohydrate is finally converted into glucose, fat is finally converted into fatty acids and glycerol, and amino acid is finally protein is finally converted into amino acid. So once again, carbohydrate is on final digestion, as I said, takes place in the small intestine. For carbohydrate is converted into glucose, fat into fatty acids and glycerol, and protein into amino acid. Now, you should know that no digestion takes place in the large intestine. So the large intestine actually helps in the reabsorption or absorption of the excess water which is present in the food. So the role of large intestine, we can say that the final digestion of food takes place in the small intestine. There is no role of a large intestine in the digestion of food. The undigested food is passed to the large intestine. Yeah, we can see through the diagram. So once the food is digested over here, the small intestine, it goes to the large intestine. This is the large intestine. You should know that no role of digestion takes place as the food is already finally digested in the small intestine. Only the excess water is reabsorbed over here, and then the undigested food is passed to the rectum and finally released from the body or egested from the body through the anus.